time for the fight of your life. The time to focus on all of your worries and strife. If you fall to now, then you surely die. Time for you to join the angels and fly. Waves of darkness try to shut down your eyes. They overwhelm you with the hate of nothing but lies. Heed these words as your journey begins. With courage in your heart, it will be the key for you to win. Know that if you don't get stronger.
Hello and welcome back to Kingdom Reviews 0 EXP. Chain of Memories doesn't have a 0 EXP mode. Okay, now that I got that gag out of the way, yes, obviously I wouldn't be making a dedicated video if that was all I had to say on the matter. But the fact still remains. The original GBA version came out well before the concept was introduced in KH2 Final Mix, and even though the PS2 version was originally released as a bonus with that game, I get why it doesn't have it. After all, I'll bet even the developers had no idea how 0 EXP would go over, so best just have it with one game. Yeah, they could have added it to the HD versions like they did with KH1, but I imagine the only reason why they did that was because they had to rebuild a lot of the game from the ground up anyway. Which brings us to here. While no, there is no 0 EXP mode in this game, there is a way to approximate it. See, Chain of Memories is to date the only game in the series where you choose what bonus you get with each individual level up. So if you were to, say, put all your level ups into card points and never build a deck that goes beyond the initial CP limit, then congrats! You're basically playing the game at level 1. I will admit right off the bat though, for this playthrough my only goal was to complete Sora's story. I didn't even bother trying to do Riku's. The reason for that is twofold. One, Riku doesn't have a dump stat. Unlike Sora's CP, none of Riku's bonuses could be ignored. And two, even if there was, Riku has this little habit of not allowing you to carbo load on a single stat for too long, so you will have to level up something else. Getting to the actual run, the first good chunk of the game really wasn't bad at all. I made it to the end of floor 6 without any real issues, which honestly is to be expected. Since you can do this selection of worlds in any order, and it's not fair to expect you to have gotten many new cards, or even in the room in your deck for them, after the tutorial that is Traverse Town, these first 5 are designed to be doable with the starter deck. Then came Larxin. This first fight against the lightning bitch made me realize that trying to beat the game this way is literally impossible. Yeah, at least for me, and anyone else who's not no damage good, which, let's be honest, is kind of a ridiculous ask, especially in this game in particular. Because here's the thing, in every game that actually has the 0 EXP ability, there's a method of balancing things out. In most of the games, it comes in the form of the bonus levels, aka those stat boosts and abilities you get for defeating specific fights. And in KH1, it came in the form of enemy HP bar scaling to be more reasonable for your level, and enemies' inability to kill you with one hit. One way or another, you will always be in a better position to handle a fight in an actual 0 EXP mode than you would be if, say, you somehow skipped ahead from the beginning to that fight. And that is what playing Chain of Memories is like with these self-imposed restrictions. Specifically, the problem here is that because your deck is so limited, you A, will not have enough strong cards to break opponents' attacks, God help you against boss slates, and B, before you know it, your recharge gauge will be maxed out, and you'll be spending most of the fight like a sitting duck trying to reload your deck. So, acknowledging that this wasn't going to happen, I said screw the CP limit, and started adding in the cards that I had collected up to that point. And once again, things became pretty simple for pretty much the rest of the game. Especially once I had everything I needed for the Warp Slate. You can find the slate itself in the Room of Rewards in Agrabah, you start finding the stop card you need in any old chest in Wonderland, and the arrow cards you need after the first Riku fight. So what does Warp do? Basically, it makes all your enemies disappear. Now before you shout about how broken that sounds, there are a few drawbacks. First I should think is obvious, you can't use it on bosses, as hilarious as that would be, especially on the bigger ones. Second, enemies defeated like this don't drop EXP. But seeing as how I'm still at least pretending to do a 0 EXP run, and I have more than enough CP, this wasn't an issue. Not to mention that the enemies still drop the room cards you need, and even their enemy cards. This, and just abusing slates and elixir cards, got me all the way up to the final fight against Marluxia. And when I say final, I mean the very last phase. First phase is pretty simple to get through, but I was gonna need a strategy for this one. First, I needed 2 enemy cards. Roxas from the Twilight Town Room of Rewards, and Maleficent from completing Hollow Bastion. Both of these cards, while used, increase the strength of your attacks. Though remember, you can't use them both at the same time. Finally, Lethal Frame. This slate gets unlocked when you hit level 32, which you should be at by this point, and basically freezes the enemy so you can get some free hits on them. With the attack boosts from Roxas and Maleficent, just spam this slate until victory. So yeah, technically this run is more of a minimum HP than a 0 EXP. And while that doesn't make it easy, I still only recommend doing this if you have a good grasp on Chain of Memory's mechanics. Probably wouldn't do it again though.